Hello, my fellow chatterers and library lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious or you're lost. We are now doing part 5 of my bookshelf tour. So in the last video, I showed you all the books that I had, all the shelves that I had downstairs. So I am now going to go through this shelf here, which is sort of a range of tastes, is what I call it. So it has a whole mixture of different books that I'm excited about reading or have read. So I'm going to go through them all with you. So I've got some dystopia on the end here. I've got The Giver Quartet by Lois Lowry. I really love this copy. I heard Jessie Mae on her channel reading as she was working through The Giver. She absolutely loved The Giver. Those two were okay, but she then really loved The Sun, where each 3 of these books then kind of came together with the same characters. So I thought it sounded really lovely. And I will show you that one in a bit more detail in a moment. Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments. They're the only 2 Margaret Atwood books I've read, but I do want to read more. And I have read both of those. Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club and The Man Who Died Twice. I haven't read either of them, but I just feel I'm going to love them because it just sounds fantastic. The whole concept of old people solving crime just sounds brilliant. And I have heard that it's really funny, so I have very high hopes for that series. And then we have, is this also I think this could also be a dystopia as well, but don't quote me on that. The School for Good Mothers by Jasmine Chan. I haven't read yet. The Mercies in this absolutely beautiful cover by Kieran Millward Harwood. I still need to read. Same with Girl of Ink and Stars. I didn't realise I had those 2 together, but that's nice because they're by the same author. And then we have Underground Railroad and The Conductors, which I like to put together just because of the whole Underground Railroad concept. So this is, let's get these 2 out. It is, so the Underground Railroad is not an actual railroad, but it is given the name of people who would help slaves escape. So mostly freed slaves, but they had also roped other people in that were part of that cause at the time. And they were just like lots of different contacts kind of along the route from the southern states to the states where slavery was abolished in America. So that's what the Underground Railroad was. I'm sure other people can give a much better explanation than me. But Colson Whitehead imagined it as an actual underground railroad. And then The Conductors, basically, I don't need to say it when P. Gilly Clarke says it. The Conductors is like an underground railroad, but with magic. So that is why I have the 2 together. And also I do love all the little railroad tracks that they both have on these covers here. So I have read this one and really enjoyed it. Very heavy book, have to be in the right frame of mind for it, but very powerful. And The Conductors I haven't read, but I'm really excited. It was, again, one of my tea and taste things when I went to the spa. So I'm looking forward to getting into that one when the time is right. And here we have my Robin Hobb collection. I'm kind of only showing the ones that I've read. Other ones I kind of have sort of smattered around the house. And maybe when I redo my shelves, I will have like Robin Hobb in sort of more of her glory. But because they're kind of a mishmash at the moment, I'm just showing the ones that I've kind of got fully and read. So I have the Farseer trilogy, starting with Assassin's Apprentice, which is the first one. And all of these are fantasy. I realised I wasn't actually telling you what they were, but yes, these are fantasy books. We have Royal Assassin there, and finally Assassin's Quest. Epic fantasy, beautifully written. I love these books so much. I really love these covers. These are the UK covers, which are the modern ones that they're being published under now, which I really love. I just love the kind of the old worldiness and the different like shields on them. I think they're fabulous. And then we have the Live Ship Traders. There is a 3rd book under my bed that I need to earn. and then I will have them all out. These have already got quite a bit of airtime on my channel, but I really love these covers. These are not the new covers. These are old covers, but I just love them. I think they're amazing. I love the compasses they have on the spine. I love the kind of parchment pictures they have, and then I love the artwork here of the ships. I think they're just beautiful, and I cannot wait to read The Mad Ship. Over here we have more books that I'm really excited about. I've read Good Omens, loved it. I realised I've got these the wrong way around because it looks prettier that way due to the sizes. But Foundry Side is the first book in the Founders trilogy by Robert Jackson Bennett, and then Shorefall with Lachlan's due to be coming out any moment now in June, and I have the American covers. And then we have Mask of Mirrors by Emma Carrick, which I'm really excited to get to. All of those are fantasy. So I'll go into a little more detail with some of these now. So watching Jessie really love the Giver Quartet. Well, the Giver anyway. I really wanted a really nice copy of it. I have not come across this. I don't know if it's just because it's really popular in America, but just hasn't kind of like had the same kind of appeal in the UK. Apparently it's one of those books that everyone in America would have read at school. But it's got these red sprayed edges. It has got a ribbon bookmark. And it is a bind up of all 4 of the stories, and I just thought this was just a lovely copy that I really wanted. When I feel I'm going to love a book a lot, I really want to get a pretty copy of it. Then we have The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments. I've really been enjoying the television show. I've only got as far as series 3 because we missed it and then it disappeared off the TV. But I have been enjoying it, and I definitely wanted to read The Handmaid's Tale before I read The Testaments, which was a present for me. So I got this from my mother-in-law a couple of birthdays ago. And then I went and found a really nice copy of The Handmaid's Tale. This has got red sprayed edges, and it's a really lovely copy of the book. And I love this on the back. Nullity Bastards Carbondorium, which I should be able to say better, but I can't because I'm not very good with Latin. But basically, don't let the bastards grind you down. Of the 2 books, they have a very different feel to them. I do like how it's got the 2 different characters here, and I think this is very cool on the pictures. That I do feel they've got a very different feel. This one is such a classic. It's the way it's told and the way it's done is amazing. This kind of feels more like a companion novel as opposed to book 2 because it's got a very different feel. It's more of a kind of a this one you had to infer quite a bit from, whereas this one tells you stuff. So it's got 2 characters that it follows. So it explores or was it 3? Anyway, it explores someone living in Gilead as a young girl, not as a handmaid or as a wife, but as a child. And then it also has a girl of similar age living outside of Gilead, so looking in at the news about Gilead. And then we also follow one of the aunts as well. So 3 different female points of view in this one. And again, excellent end pages. I mean, this whole army of handmaids is upsetting and terrifying, but amazing. And I do really enjoy how they have combined the 2 females. So you have the Gilead girl, and then you have the non-Gilead girl, and her ponytail looks like the hat. So I think that's very cool. So these end pages are fabulous. And then we also have some embossing under the cover as well. I don't know if you can see. So we have the Gilead girl there, and then on the back we have the non-Gilead girl. And then on Handmaid, we have, on this fabulous red cover, we have, again, that Handmaid image there, which is brilliant. And I do wish that I prefer this book as a whole, just because I like it as a different cover on the colour. And I do like this. This isn't glossy, it's just kind of matte, which I prefer. And I prefer the size. It feels more like I'm not such a fan of the larger book size. I do prefer the smaller book size. But that's not really a thing. That's just my general book preference. So just a little closer look at these 3 that I have not read at all. I love the end pages in here. We've got these fantastic birds in there. And then with these 2 Thursday Murder Club, we have, is it a fox or is it a dog? I feel it's a fox, but I could be totally wrong because I've not read this book. Oh no, that's the fox. There we go. That's why I thought it was fox. So this must be a dog or a wolf. I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, I haven't read it. But again, we've got these fabulous end pages. And then this one here has got the stenciled edges, which is always fun. So yes, very much looking forward to getting to these 2 at some point. And I nearly forgot to show you that under the dust jacket, we have the dog wolf in silver on Thursday Murder Club. And we have a grey colour here with a black fox under the dust jacket. I love it when they put things under the dust jacket, like a little surprise. And then behind the Mercies, we have Angie Thomas, The Hate You Give, and On the Come Up, and Matt Haig's The Midnight Library. So I have read On the Come Up and absolutely loved it. I got it from my library and adored it so much. It was brilliant. And then when I was shopping for books, like you do, I saw this in Waterstones with purple edges, and it just jumped into my hand. The Hate You Give, I haven't read, and I'm appalled at myself for not having read it. I really do need to read it, but it's one of those books as well that I think I want to be able to give the time to it because of how much I loved On the Come Up, because I hear so many amazing things about The Hate You Give. I just need to be able to like dedicate myself solely to that book and give it all of my attention. And also, I just feel aware that I'm going to get really upset and angry as well as because of all the themes and things it deals with. So I feel I need to be in the right mind to cope with all of that. So it is going to happen, and I'm going to enjoy it and find it amazing. But I want to do it justice with the reading time that I can give it. So The Mercies, I was so excited about this book. I knew I wanted the hard copy because I just feel I'm going to love it. So I did make a big effort to make sure I got hold of the hard copy just before the paper copy came out. Nothing hidden on the dust jacket, but the spine I think is beautiful with this silver decoration on it. And then we have these lovely end pages as well. These beautiful waves in this wonderful green and blue colours. So that is that one. I have read The Midnight Library and really enjoyed it. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. It's a very small book, but for me it just felt like the absolute perfect size, which is such a weird thing to say about a book. But I just felt like there's it's written in very kind of short sections. Like it's really easy to kind of pick up and put down because it's very short chapters. And I found that really helpful for reading. It was really easy to come to a good point of stopping and then moving on. And because of the concept, going through all these different lives, going through all these different regrets, I felt it could have come really easily stagnant and dull. But it was just the right amount of time for you to kind of get a sense of Nora, get a sense of what she was going through. And then the story moved on. And then it didn't get boring because there was a different point kind of each life. There was a different thing. She kind of discovered more about herself and discovered more what she wanted from her life. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was brilliant. And then The Girl with Ink and Stars, again, really excited to read. Have been for a while. Still haven't read it because there's just so many books. And here we have the back of the shelf. So I have an illustrated copy of Greek Myths and Legends. I have this whole set of Narnia books, which I have not read recently, but I have had them for years. I got them, it was like a Christmas present for my mum when I was still at secondary school, but I just started secondary school kind of age. So I've had them for years and years. Beartown, really, really want to read. Still haven't read it, but again, need to be in the right mood because again, I think I'm going to be angry. Ellis Peters' Cadfael collection, I have read many, many times. They are comfort reads. It's a medieval whodunit. They're really short. I think they're all under 300 pages. And I just love the character Brother Cadfael. I find them very warm. Yes, and it's nice little tiny books there that I really enjoy. And then I have some children's historical fiction from Rosemary Sutcliffe. I really enjoy her work. I do think these two Tudor books are my favourite though. So we have Brother Dusty Feet and The Armourer's House. Again, I find them very warm and comforting and really enjoy the stories in them. Stories about family, sort of like coming of age, not quite coming of age stories, but just sort of like following the children through this like point in their life. So this is Tamsin, who wants to go on ships. So this is the discovery time when the ships are going out, sort of the Walter Raleigh, Francis Drake, lots of trading going on, and she wants to be involved in all of that, but women can't be on ships. So she meets a family. She meets other relatives in her family, and they are also involved in the sort of the family business on ships. But her female relative, Aunt Deborah, has married an armourer. So she goes and stays with all their cousins whilst her uncle is off on some voyages. And Brother Dusty Feet, he kind of comes across the travelling players as he's trying to make his way to, I can't remember where he's going. Is it Oxford? He wants to be educated. He wants to... So he makes a journey. I haven't read this for a really long time. I can't remember it. But he falls in with the travelling players. And it was lots of fun kind of just following this theatre company throughout Tudor England. So they're clearly due a reread, as I cannot describe them very well at all. Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Absolutely love this book. Amazing. Do want to reread again at some point. My Michelle Magorians, I have Goodnight Mr. Tom, which I think is one that's most well known. Back Home, where a child has been sent to America during the war and is then coming back, and there is a big kind of like cultural difference, and it's her trying to find her feet and the whole family trying to find their feet as well, which is a really fun story. And Just Henry, again, it's kind of set around the aftermath of the Second World War in, I think London, but it could just be, I think they're both London actually. I think they all do tend to be in London. And this one has got a sort of a cinema fascination. So early cinema, Henry's really excited about cinema, but he also goes in a really big kind of character development journey. He has views on certain people in his class, has to work in a project with them, and then changes those views. It's a lot about family, and then it does have a kind of like a slightly, it's a lot about family and about not judging people, and then there's kind of another plot in there as well that kind of blows up. But I love it. I really love it. I think this one is so well written. I think this is kind of like peak Michelle Magorian. Goodnight Mr. Tom is just a well-known classic. That was her first one, I think. And I've loved all the other books apart from one, her latest one. It just didn't quite work for me. So for me, this is like peak Michelle Magorian here. And The Snow Child, I do really want to read, by Eowyn Ivey. Love that name, Eowyn Ivey. I think it's really cool. I think it's retelling the folktale of the Snow Child. I tried to read it this year, but it just didn't quite happen. So hoping when we start getting to wintry months, I'll be picking that one up. And then just another couple of little books that were just fun gifts. So this one was for my husband when we were very much enjoying the Game of Thrones TV show. I have read some of the Game of Thrones books. I loved the first 3, didn't get on with Feast of Crows, and haven't read the 5th one. But this has just got little quotes from Tyrion in, so it's just kind of a fun sort of pick up and put down sort of coffee table type of book. I live in Brighton. This is a very peculiar history of Brighton, with added Hove actually. So for those who aren't aware, when people who live in Hove are asked, oh, you live in Brighton, they say Hove actually, because it's supposed to be a bit posher than Brighton. So there we go, there's that one. It's just got a random, it's a lot of fun. I have read it before. I can't quite remember what it's all about, but I just remember it being quite funny, and little things that made me laugh about where I live. So again, a couple of little coffee table companions there. So here is my Narnia collection. The Magician's Nephew being the first in chronological order, if not published order. The Lion, Witch and Wardrobe being the most well known. The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, and The Last Battle. So I really love these books. They're very beautiful copies of them. Unfortunately, the series is a bit problematic. I have not read it for a very long time, but watching Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophes channel do a reread of this, she pointed out a lot of problems with the series. So sadly, this is one of my favourite covers. This is one of the most problematic books. The way I can't even remember what they're called now, but the way there's a portrayal of the non-Narnians in this book are portrayed, and I think they're referred to as savages, is just quite distasteful. I'm aware these are all a product of their time, but I think, as Olivia is really good at pointing out, it's very important to still talk about these things. Again, I need to read them. I don't think there's anything too terrible in these. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't read them for a really long time, but there is also the sort of misogyny and like views of women does kind of come through in the way it. I think the concept of women wearing makeup is frowned upon by the author. So I think Susan definitely gets a massively raw deal in this one. Which I remember as a child reading, feeling kind of a bit upset about and not enjoyed. There is also the line in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe where it mentions that women shouldn't really be in battles, or like battles are ugly places when women fight. So, and I remember that kind of like rubbing me up the wrong way at the time, but I also was aware that these were written a long while ago. But I'm just appreciating the artwork of these. I might reread these. I think I will reread these at some point and see how they strike me as an adult reading them. But I do think the concept of Narnia and just going through your wardrobe and trying to find this magical place is still something that will just resonate with so many people for such a long time. Like, I don't think that magic is going to be taken away. But yes, the way I kind of view them will be slightly different. I never enjoyed this one, the final one. It doesn't feel very nice. And I think that was the most offensive one of all. So just a warning if you're rereading Narnia and looking into them, but the artwork on these covers is beautiful. So there we go, that's the back of the shelf. And now let's take a closer look at these. I really love the cover of this one. I just love the intricacies of this mask. It looks amazing. So I'm very excited to kind of get to this one and read it. But I just feel, I don't want to start any new series just yet until I've made more progress. Made more progress with the other ones I'm reading. But this is book 1 in the Rook and Rose trilogy or series. There is a second book out that I'm also wanting to pick up soon. But yes, excited, but not able to read just yet. So the Founders Trilogy. I love these covers. These are the American covers. And I just love this open archway kind of just looking through and the fire and the flames. I just think it's beautiful. I also am very intrigued by the kind of the border it gets with sort of the hand and the key. I just think it's really, really cool. And the same here on Shorefall, like just this archway. And this the colours on here, like all the blues and yellows and purples, is just really cool. I have no idea what is going on. Again, very, very intriguing. And here down the side, we have a dagger and another key. I know there's a unique magic system in this. I know the protagonist is, I think, like a foundling or like a thief or a con artist. So basically, I don't know who the protagonist is. I know very little, but people that I really think I have a similar taste to, other fantasy readers, really, really enjoy these. So I feel very confident that I'm going to really enjoy them as well. And I will be trying to get my hands on the American cover for Lockland, which has about to be released very, very soon. So I did have to go out of my way to try and find these. It was really hard to find Foundry Side. I mean, there was no way I was going to get a hardback. This I grabbed when I could. As you can see, it's a little bit ripped, so I have had to mend it with some tape. This one I finally found on World of Books, just completely out the blue. It's a little bit battered. And here, these pages were like all mangled at the top. So I cut them all to just neaten them off. But also like the printing of it, of those pages. Look, it's nearly like half the writing's nearly disappeared from the bottom. So I don't quite know what happened with this one. Maybe that's why I managed to find it, because of those faults in it. But I'm pleased I have it. It's also really floppy, so I'm very excited to start this series. Now, this book is one of the ones that I borrowed from my mum to read. I really enjoyed. There was also the BBC drama with Michael Sheen and David Tennant that was out, and I watched that kind of pretty simultaneously with reading the book, and loved both mediums that they were shown in. And then I knew I wanted my own copy, and then I found this one. And as you can see here, it is illustrated by Paul Kidby. So this was written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I'm a big Terry Pratchett fan, starting to read some Neil Gaiman books, but Paul Kidby, I love his illustrations for Discworld, Terry Pratchett's more well-known fantasy series. So let us dive in to this beautiful hardback book, so I can show you its full glory. So lovely red end pages, and then here is the amazing stuff. Look at this illustration. So here we have, I've totally forgotten the characters' names. Let me just check. Aziraphale? Apologies if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. But Aziraphale, the angel, which bears a very striking resemblance to Michael Sheen. So I love that. And then obviously on the opposite side, we then have the demon, and here is Cowley. Oh, shiny light. Can't quite get the angle right, but yeah. And here, a resemblance to David Tennant. So I love that they are the characters in this book, because I really adored them in they were so good. They were so good in the drama of Good Omens. It was brilliant. So there are also some pencil illustrations throughout here as well, which is amazing. And then it's also got these little, like, to break up the paragraphs, we've got the sort of the angel and demon sand timers, which are really cool, and more illustrations throughout the book. So on the glossier paper, we've got the full colour illustrations, and a little quote linked to that illustration, which I think this one is highly appropriate. Aziraphale was an angel, but he also worshipped books. Look how much he's tabbed this book. There we go. He would totally have his own booktube channel. Love it. So yes, it's my very beautiful copy of Good Omens. So I'm really looking forward to rereading it in this copy and having a wonderful time again. So all back on the shelves now. So that is the end of that range of tastes one. Let's move on to another shelf. Okay, this is the YA shelf. Mainly, fantasy at the front, and some different things at the back, which I will get the books out so we can have a look. But here I've got a couple of fantasies I've not read, Only a Monster and Blood Scion. I have the Stravaganza first 3 books in that series in the covers that I adore. And then I have an Ember in the Ashes quartet, which I haven't yet read, but I should be starting in September, doing a buddy read with Anitha and Sarah. There could well be other people joining us as well. But Anitha from Anitha Garde and Sarah, can't remember your channel off the top of my head, Sarah, but I will link it. And I love the covers for this quartet. I do think they are really stunning. So I got A Sky in the Storm when it came out because I thought it was beautiful. I felt I was really going to enjoy the series and I wanted it in hardback. And then the rest were from my searchings on World of Books, and was totally shocked and surprised that I managed to get Reaper at the Gates in hardback as well. So that made me happy. And then we have the Stravaganza series. I have only read City of Masks. I have not read the others, but I have coveted them for a very long time. When I was ending school, about to start uni, but wasn't really able to afford buying brand new books at that point. So I never got hold of them. And now I have, thanks to World of Books. So I will show you the beautiful covers. Now, I'm not sure if this is classed as middle grade or if it's classed as YA. It was definitely kind of around before we had that kind of definition between classifying books. I think it was just children's or adult. So all of these are kind of set in like a fictional Italy, and they all focus on a different city. So this is Venice, but I think they call it Bellera, Bellona. No, Bellezza. There we go. There it is, Bellezza. So we have the beautiful kind of like, is it called a floret, where it's kind of this feathery swirl. So underneath the cover, you have just got these eyes that peek through, and all this fun patterning. I think it's really, really cool the way it does that. And then you put the mask over the eyes, and then you've got the gondolas underneath. So that is the first one. The second one, I can't remember which city this is set in, but obviously there is a big zodiac link here. And then if we move the dust jacket with this peep through, we have this, which is incredible. I love this sky. I love the Pegasus and this town that it's flying over. And a similar pattern on the back. And then inside we have a blue kind of, what's the word? And I've literally just said it and I've totally forgotten what it is. But anyway, these swirly feather things. And this one is set on remora, which is similar to, how do you pronounce it? Siena? Anyway, it's over here. I'm presuming Romula is Rome. And I don't really know anything about this one. So I am looking forward to continuing this series and finding out more about these books. The City of Flowers is set in the equivalent of Florence. And there it is. It is Giglia. I'm going with Giglia or Giglia. No, not Giglia. I am rubbish with pronouncing names. Anyway, we have orange swirly feathers. And then under the peep through, look at that. How beautiful is that? So very much looking forward to reading these beautiful books. And we'll now have a closer look at Only a Monster and Blood Scion, as they are from my Fairy Leap boxes. And therefore have a lot of beautiful artwork. So under the dust jacket, we have this purple foiling. I know very little about this story. If you saw my July TBR, you would know how rubbish I am at synopsis. I don't like to know a lot about the books that I read going into them. I'd much prefer to know as little as possible and just be sort of intrigued by the themes and go off recommendations. So that makes me awful at doing synopsis. But as you have seen, books I have read, I've not been that great with the synopsises of either. And these edges are beautiful with the purple and the clock and the spiraling. I'm intrigued to see what the link with this pocket watch clock thing is. That will be very intriguing. So there we go. Fabulous end pages. Foiling on the cover and sprayed edges are a good Fairy Loot signature. I do think this cover of Blood Scion is incredible. And as though I do really love the foiling on the books, I also really love when it's kind of printed onto the hardback as well. I do think that's really cool. So it's really nice that we get to see the full art without the title or anything as well. That I just think the face and hair, just like the power and the beauty of it is amazing. I just love all of these swirls. Like, I'm really keen to see what the magic is in this fantasy world, and I will show it to you fully, but we have got art on the back of the dust jacket here, and it is very shiny, so I'm trying to angle the camera so that the light doesn't kind of ruin the overall effect. But I love all of these colours. And then here we have the protagonist, as well. So here it is without the dust jacket on, and all these amazing pinks and orange colours. Oh, and the spine, look at that. Is that the same as the jacket? Yes, it is. I just think you can appreciate it a little bit more when it hasn't got a shiny cover. And then inside we have more swirliness and a signed book plate and blue sprayed edges. And this is my behind the shelf. I have a contemporary book, The 7 Ways We Lie by Riley Redgate. Haven't heard a lot about this book, but it did sound really intriguing, about all these different students that all have different issues and kind of go to the same school and kind of come together. Yeah, a lot of life difficulties, I think, in that one. I don't think I need to explain this. These are all my Twilight books. And An Arrow to the Moon was another Fairy Loot edition. So we have a blue colouring rather than a purple one, and these lovely blue sprayed edges. Haven't yet read it, but obviously I want to. I then have, let's pop that one back in. I then have kind of a mishmash of where I wasn't sure where to put the rest of the things. So Irish Tales from the Other World are a collection of folk tales. Again, another gift from my husband, which I really enjoyed. This, I have no idea about. I have absolutely no idea what it is. It's some sort of Icelandic story. Basically, I ordered my mum a copy of Frostheart for like £2, and they didn't send it to me, and I got this instead. And just the hassle of returning it just didn't seem pointless. So I decided to take it as fate, and at some point I will read this random book that I know nothing about and have acquired. I then have 4 poetry books. So just a big collection of like children's poetry that was from my teaching days that I got. I have the Black Unicorn poems by Audre Lorde. I have Meantime by Caroline Duffy, part of my English literature. And then I have Love That Dog by Sharon Creech, which is such an adorable book. It is basically like a poem story about a child learning to appreciate poetry. So they each, so like for example, they're doing a whole kind of like subject, and it kind of goes through the term, and this child doesn't like poetry. And they then study poems and try and write their own poems. So like, for example, I guess it does look like a poem when you see it typed up like that. But I think maybe it would look better if there was more space between the lines, like how I wrote it the first time. And I like the picture of the yellow dog you put beside it. But that's not how my yellow dog looked. So it kind of goes through, so it's like a story but done in poems, and just examines, there were some, I can't remember what poems it examines. They're all at the back, which was really cool. Yeah, so these are all the poems that the teacher uses the children to look at. So they explore A Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams, Spring by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. So throughout this you get the child's opinion. It's like, what does it mean? Why is he writing about a wheelbarrow? That's not what I'd call poetry. The Tiger by William Blake. Dog by Valerie Worth. The Pasture by Robert Frost again. There we go. Street Music by Arnold Adolph. The Apple, which kind of blew his mind that he did not think that was a poem. So all the words are laid out to make this fruit, and it basically just uses words to describe the apple. And then finally, Love That Boy by Walter Dean Myers. So if you ever get a chance to, if you see this in your library, definitely pick it up. It's worth a read. It is so cute. I really, really love it. I love that book. And then we have some middle grade because they wouldn't fit on the other shelf. So we have Skellig by David Armand, which I really enjoyed. I've read some other books, but none that I kind of felt the same way about Skellig. Dragon Slippers and Dragon Flight I really enjoyed as a child. Dragon Slippers was one of my favourites as a child. But I struggle slightly with the, it feels a bit ableist. so they don't get displayed. The Little Broomstick by Mary Stewart. She wrote 3 children's books, and this is one of them. Do we have the... Yes, here we go. A Walk in Wolfwood and Ludo the Star Horse. And I enjoyed all of these. So yeah, I do feel very kind of disappointed with these two. I'm not sure when they were published. And it wasn't a huge amount of the story, but it was still there, and it still made me feel uncomfortable. But it's such a shame, because I really enjoyed the dragons of the story. I enjoyed the fun world. I enjoyed the sewing and links into this, and the characters sometimes were fun. Anyway, we will move on. So that is the back of that shelf and the front. And as we're now on 40 minutes, I'm going to end it there. But I feel very confident I can finish this shelf tour off in one more video. And so 6 videos for this shelf tour, and then we're done.